Hello, hello, hello. What's up? Lonnie Appleton here, and it is Saturday. What's up?
Can I borrow your yoga mat?
Borrow my what?
Yoga mat.
Sure.
Hey.
What's good, Lonnie Appleton? When you walk in a closed door, what do you do?
Close our food.
All right. And this is the Sister Support Network. I come here now. My schedule is Wednesday and Saturday. I go live so that we can have conversations and we can talk about what's been going on throughout the week and catching up. September 15th, September 15th, we will be starting our book club. So make sure, hey, Simply Beauty, welcome, Pat. How you guys doing? Make sure you guys pick up your copy of What's the Best That Can Happen. September 15th, we are going to start reading it. I don't have the actual schedule of how many. I think there's 30 pages, 30 chapters, so a chapter a day, but I'm very cognizant of there's work that needs to be done in this book. So even though we're reading a chapter a day to kind of keep pace, welcome everyone to the live, we also need to take time to do the work. So we will talk about however many chapters. Hey, I'm finally on time, sis. I was like, oh shoot, on time. Yes, who knows what the time is with me keep changing the schedule, but I'm thankful for you guys' patience. So definitely the intention is to read together collectively, but also do the work that's in this book so we could talk about the work. You guys can ask questions along the way. What I believe that the book club is going to be is as we find independent Black women authors here on TikTok. One of our meetings for the Sister Support Network would be bringing the author on. Hopefully they're available and open to it. And then we can ask questions about their piece of work and whatever it is, probably when we finish the book. That'll be a good little culmination activity where after we finish the book, we have all of our questions, we could bring the author on. So I'm excited about the book club. I'm excited about growing and learning together. And I'm excited to be here. Yes, every day was too much. Every day was too much. And when I first started going live, I was like, well, I have to build a schedule, consistency, showing up. And so I was like, every day, a Ricky Lake or an Oprah shows up every day, I think. I don't remember. But, people show up every day. So I was like, let me show up every day. But that was just getting too much. And in respect that the audience wasn't growing, I was just like, well, I think I can slow down on the frequency that I am showing up because, I don't have to be here every day. And that's all right. It's a lot for you guys to commit to be here every day. Pat, it's a lot for you to commit to be here every day. And it's a lot for me to commit to be here every day. So I think twice a week is good. How are you doing today, Pat? I am doing the when you're on time ramble. So if I'm not making any sense, it's because I ramble until, people decide to start showing up. So today we're going to talk about, I got some really good notes from yesterday, getting Michael to be nice to Caden and just understanding how his treatment dictates Caden's treatment of him. I don't think we understand, and I don't think that our children understand that we truly are teaching each other. Hey, Mad Mix, we truly are teaching each other how to treat each other or treat us. So by our treatment, hey, Afro T-Lock, by the way that we treat our siblings, now they are learning how to treat us. So it took me a while to break through to Bailey, working on breaking through to Angel, and now working on breaking through to Michael for them to understand that, hey, the reason why Caden, which is the 4-year-old, is talking to you the way that he's talking to you is because you talk to him that way. So if you discontinue talking to him that way, he's not going to feel comfortable. He's going to model you. Thank you, Afro, for all the love. Popular versus unpopular. We're going to talk about that. Bailey went to an anime convention with a coworker yesterday, and it's a daily reminder. She went to an anime convention yesterday, and it just really made me think about one of those scenes in the movies where the popular kid hangs out with the less popular kid and tries to make the less popular kid feel silly for their interests. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about outliers and how they're bridges. Let me see. Michael turning off Caden's music and saying that he's addicted to YouTube. And let me see. Identifying these problems. And so I think what we've covered so far will be a good starting point for us. And then, of course, whatever happens in the chat box, we'll get into the chat box. Getting Michael to be nice to Caden. Caden wants to be you like you want to be daddy. That's why fathers are so important. So yesterday, Caden was doing something, and as soon as I said something to Caden, Michael turned around and started to imitate me. So it wasn't that I said something to Caden this way, but historically, it's just when an adult, thank you guys for all the love, when an adult redirects a child, I don't know about in your household, but in my household, the child that is in earshot like echoes the adult, but they don't echo it, especially in the current space that we're in now. We don't really berate our children anymore, but I mean, I got 17 years of berating Bailey. I got 10 years of berating Angel, 5 years of berating Michael, 3 years of berating Caden. So it's a learned behavior. So even though we are not saying silly stuff to each other now, that doesn't stop the children. And we have to understand, if our children are expressing any type of behavior, especially if it's a child that is largely in the home, i.e. Michael didn't go to daycare, Caden didn't go to daycare. So that means all of their behaviors were learned in this house. And it could have been from TV, it could have been from a peer, i.e. their sibling, it could have been learned from the parents, who knows? But whatever behaviors that these two children who have never left the home are exhibiting, they learned it here. So we have to figure out how they're learning it in order to get in front of it. So Caden, I can't remember what happened, but we were standing here and it finally clicked in that I was just like, Michael, you know how you look up to you, because he was like, Michael, okay. I said, Michael, you know how you look up to your father? And he was like, yes. And I was like, you know how you want to be your dad? And he was like, yes, because my dad's big and strong. I was like, okay. Caden wants to be you. So everything you see your dad doing and you try to emulate, Caden sees you doing and he tries to emulate. So you have to make sure what you're demonstrating to Caden are behaviors that you want him to emulate. And I don't think I use the language emulate, but you know, model, or I don't know what language I use whatever he understands. But I was just like, you can't get mad at your brother because Michael's like, you're addicted to YouTube. I'm like, who introduced him to YouTube, Michael? You can't sit here and talk down to your brother about his attitudes and behaviors when he's modeling you. So you have to check yourself. And I was like, but look, Michael, I'm not even faulting you for this, because look, you are emulating Angel, who is emulating Bailey, who is emulating me. So all of my children who are expressing these behaviors that are not favorable behaviors, it all came from me. And even though I'm no longer exhibiting those behaviors, I now have to go through the corrective actions of walking my children back and finding a way to get into their heads where they understand that this is the way that you're acting. I know it feels like this is you, but it's not. You are just a ripoff of your older sibling. So do you want to be a ripoff of your older sibling, or do you want to be yourself? Also, how does it feel when your sister treats you this way? How does it feel? You don't like it, right? So why do you think your younger sibling likes it? So we had that conversation. Treat Caden the way you want to be treated. That teaches him how to treat you. Mean to Bailey, Angel, Mike, okay. Setting your standards. Caden's mean to me. Don't allow him to, I'm reading my notes, y'all. Caden's mean to me. Don't allow him to retraining or disassociate. I knew I should have read my notes before I got on here, but you know, that's what a professional would do. I absolutely agree, and I get it. Don't you feel it's learned from parents berating themselves as well? It's all the conversations, it's everything that's going on within the household and they're just observing it. And of course, you have to think about, who do your children think are the coolest beings walking this earth? Their parents. Until they have, peers or, their older siblings, but the older siblings are just mini parents. So whatever they think is the coolest is what's going to have the highest impact on them. So if our children think that we're cool, they're going to try to model our behavior. And because society says mean girl or mean boy or mean they behavior is cool, then they're going to emulate that. Because when you look at TV, who's getting the most attention? When you go into society and you go into the classrooms and you look at who's popular, who's getting the most attention? The mean people, the people who ain't out here treating other people well. And so our children who want to fit in are going to pick up those behaviors. Also, because their voices are shrunken and because they can't talk back and because they feel powerless when they're being berated by the adults, all these kids are thinking is, man, I can't wait until I could do this to someone else. And so they reclaim their power by either going to school and doing it because they don't have a younger sibling, or if they have a younger sibling, they're now doing these things to their younger sibling. So this is also a form of them just exerting their power because they were left feeling powerless in another situation, probably with their parents. So yes, it all comes from the head. The head must check themselves if they ever expect the kids to get it together. And that's why when that video I reposted a while back where she was just like, I'm so tired of these grown ass kids, they think they're grown but they don't know nothing. And I was like, well, who was tasked with teaching them something? You know what I'm saying? Of course they think they're grown, because what grown looks like isn't mature behavior. What grown looks like is what you raised. Your child is pretending to be grown, and chances are you are pretending to be grown, because there's a lot of maturing you have to do if you actually sat down with yourself and admitted it. And this is not me pointing any fingers. I sat down with myself and I admitted it. As sophisticated as I think I am, I had to have a come to Lonnie, not a come to Jesus. I had to come to Lonnie meeting and be like, damn, you got a lot of growing up to do, and it's imperative that you do this growing up so that your children can grow up. I can only transfer into my children what I have to transfer, which means I have to rapidly elevate, because look, I have an 18-year-old, so I have to rapidly develop and elevate and really put myself into a space of constantly learning and evolving in order to transfer what I missed out for 18 years with my daughter. I missed out 18 years. Yes, my daughter can function in this world. If I disappeared for 30 days, she could run life. She's running life right now. She texted me today and was like, what do you want for dinner? I was like, she's cooking. So my daughter can run a household. What she doesn't know is how to love herself, how to talk herself through things, how not to react to the outside world, how to, manage until she's able to not even experience the expression of certain emotions, how to work through all of that spiritual soul connecting stuff, getting in contact with her soul and feeding her soul and trusting her intuition. Those are all things that I failed to teach my daughter. And so now I am teaching her those things now, but in order for me to teach her, I must know them. And we don't know what we don't know. We only operate in the awareness that we have. So I have to be cognizant of everyone and everything around me is a teacher. Even if it's teaching me something that I don't need to know, it's still building my base of awareness, so now I can now turn to my children and help them navigate certain things, because we are under the misconception that we must experience life in order to have a teacher. Experience is the best teacher. I agree with that. But something that I've learned is it doesn't have to be our own personal experiences, and it does not have to be a negative experience. Right now, this live, us having this conversation, this is an experience that you can learn from. It is an amazing teacher. It doesn't have to be a negative life lesson in order for us to learn. The negative life lesson leaves the lesson and the trauma. It is our goal to align with learning opportunities that just leave the lesson and the blessing. Bars. And you can learn from my lessons And What's the Best That Can Happen, available at LonnieTaylorArt.com. We are reading this for our book club September 15th, so make sure you pick up your copy. Yes, the mirror always works until the next time. Yes, we have to be constant reflections of ourselves, and we have to constantly be looking at ourselves. That's why I have become the observer in my life, because as long as I watch myself, I'm paying attention to what I'm saying, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. And the problem is, we just run our mouths and we just talk and we just say different things in certain circumstances just because it's habit. But we don't even really pay attention to the things that we're saying. That's something I ran to with my husband all the time. He's like, I was just saying, like, you're overreacting. I'm just saying. I was just like, why are you just saying that? Like, that's totally unnecessary to say. And it's really good because I was just saying to everyone in my home, I was like, no one has said that was unnecessary in a very long time. We went through a phase where it was bumping up against each other, and I know mom, those type of situations. And now it's like, I know, right? Somebody posted on their page, they were like, as I get older in life, I realize that my mom was right about dang near everything. We're just taught societally to bump up against the wisdom that is coming from our parents, which is weird because this is doubting the source. We can go out into the world at the same age. So Angel is 11 years old. Angel bumps up against every piece of advice that I give her. She's getting better about it because I'm starting to break through to her, and for her to understand that I am a knowledge source and that I am her friend and I am here. I'm someone that she can lean on in order to figure out how to navigate this life. So I'm breaking through to her. But historically, anything that I say to my 11-year-old, she's automatically going to discount, deny, and devalue. Why? Because of the source. She just recently admitted to me that she doesn't really like me. She likes me most of the time, but sometimes she doesn't. And I was like, I'm happy that you are confident enough to actually verbalize that to me, because I've known that you don't like me, but because you don't feel safe enough to say, you know what, Mom, I don't like you half the time, you now cannot give me your handle with care instructions or your standard of care instructions to let me know how to operate in a way that you like me. You know what I'm saying? If our kids had the freedom to say, I don't like that, they don't have to say, I don't like you. Because in reality, my daughter loves me. My daughter, strives to be one of my best friends, I'm sure. I'm sure she looks at the relationship that I have with Bailey and she desires her version of that. She doesn't desire the relationship I have with Bailey, but I'm sure she desires to have that bond with her mother. So it's not that my daughter does not like me, but there are behaviors that I have shown towards her that she's like, I don't like this treatment, and I now don't like you. And so I have to correct her in that respect, because you have a friend who does something that you don't like. But society already tells us if somebody does something that we don't like, automatically, I don't like you. And so that's why we are so close to this frenemy, like we're right there on the cusp of, are we friends or are we not? Because it's just one behavior that tilts us, or one attitude that tilts us in the direction of, I don't like you. No, we had a disagreement, or we didn't see eye to eye on something, which is healthy. Like, why would you surround yourself with a bunch of people who think like you? How are you going to grow and evolve if everybody thinks and moves like you? Now, we can have some commonality. That's why we have our standards, right? There's certain people who have thoughts and philosophies that we align ourselves with, but you don't want to be around people who think just like you. Patricia says things to me all the time. We have a very common base, but even though we have a common base, we have completely different world experiences, completely different perspectives. So you, Pat, can say things to me and I'm like, oh, okay, boom. You just bloomed my thinking out. But if I'm a yes man or you're a yes man, or, we just want to keep the peace and not be seen, we're just happy to be in the room, Those are relationships that you don't want, because those are relationships that don't grow you. And all relationships need to have some sort of value. And hopefully it's not a trauma bonding or a I keep you around because you make me feel better about myself. Those type of relationships. The relationships that we want to have are relationships that grow us and evolve us to our higher selves. Yes, we were the same as daughters with our mom, wanted the older sister's relationship with her. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, the relationship that I have with Bailey. And it's beautiful, the relationship that I'm developing with Angel. But Angel has to become okay with that. The thing is, the work that is necessary, the healing that is necessary in order for us to get to a space of peace where she is okay with being truly my friend. She has a lot of barriers that I have caused her to put up, i.e. being that parent, being that dictatorship, being that authority, now has put a wall and another wall and another wall and another wall between me and my child. So now I am doing the work to tear those walls down so that I can now penetrate her and let her know that I am someone that you can trust. I know you couldn't trust me in the past because if you told me something, you got in trouble for it. I am someone you can talk to. I am someone that is going to give you advice based off of what you're experiencing versus I can't tell my mom because I'm going to get in trouble. So now I have entered into a space where she's not really getting in trouble. Michael's not really getting in trouble. He brought home an F and he was like, am I in trouble? And I was like, why would you be in trouble? You got an F because you did not complete your work. We're going to complete the work and we're going to fix this F. If you got an F because you did complete the work, but you did not understand, now I can help you understand. Either way, there is no trouble here. There is nothing for you to get in trouble for if you are constantly trying to figure this life out. As long as my children are trying to figure life out, there's no consequences there because they're trying to figure it out. There's redirection and there's correction, but I don't want to stay in the space of consequences. Now, when I'm trying to move them out of bad behaviors, there are quote unquote consequences, i.e. you keep eating your sister's ice cream and now your sister keeps coming to me complaining about you eating her ice cream. And I'm like, unless I sit on the goddamn freezer, I can't stop them from eating your goddamn ice cream. You know, I went and bought locks, y'all. I went and they done figured out the damn combination. Actually, the freezer lock, you don't even have to put a combination in it. And they done figured it out. You just push the little two buttons and it opens up. I was riding that one for a while. I would go over there and pretend I was putting in a combination and everything because I figured out you don't need a combination. So I was over there pretending to put in a combination and then the kids done figured out you don't even need a combination to get in the freezer. But, you know, of course there's corrective or consequences for those choices. But we are no longer living in the space where my kids have to shrink themselves and feel like they don't matter, because the sooner I let my kids know that they matter and they have value, they will go through this life knowing that they matter and they have value. So I really was just impressing upon Michael to show Caden respect, because in order for Caden to respect you, you must demonstrate what that looks like. And if you're continuously demonstrating bad behavior, then Caden is going to model that bad behavior. And so it's truly truth in teaching people how to treat you. And even if you taught them historically a certain way, at any time you can pivot and now start teaching them a different way. So that's why I always go back to my pillow, available at LonnieTaylorArt.com. Know your worth, then add tax. When you came into the relationship, you had, and I say relationship, friendships, whatever, work environments, anything that you have chosen to allow in your life, you set your standards by allowing it to come into your life. So you knew your worth at that point in time. And at any point, you can add tax, which means at any point, you can say, yo, I need something different here. And the key is to surround yourself with people who have teachable spirits, so when you're ready to pivot, they're ready to pivot with you. So that is one of the requirements. I'm not saying we need to have certain things that should be standard, but the one thing that should be standard is you are surrounding yourself with people who have teachable spirits. Because in order for you to evolve and grow, you have to be surrounded by people who are capable of evolving and growing, and who are capable of allowing you to evolve and grow. And when I say allow, that is what's happening, because if we do not allow those around us to evolve and grow, what do? We start throwing tantrums. We start, disassociating. We start showing displeasure with the person because they're doing something we're displeased with. But if we have come to a space where we allow the individuals around us to evolve and grow, and we have open and honest, clear communication, then they could say, yo, this is what I'm experiencing, and you could say, thank you for communicating that with me. Now I'm aware. I'm no longer looking at you crazy like, what the hell is going on? And you don't feel comfortable sharing it because you've never had an opportunity in your life to actually share your true thoughts and feelings. So we need to make sure that we are creating that environment in our home. And if we no longer have children in our homes and we are the actual adults, we need to make sure that we are creating open and clear and honest communication spaces within our homes, because that is the only way that we are going to achieve success as we begin to couple, as we begin to reproduce children. There needs to be a space of open and clear, honest communication, uplifting language, and equal treatment. Popular versus unpopular. Bailey went to the anime convention with her awkward coworker. And when she went to the anime convention with her awkward coworker, it reminded me of a cool kid hanging out with a nerd, because the individual, and I'm just using the language because this is the common language. Don't get offended. Get the lesson. Don't get caught up on the language. Anyway, it reminded me when Bailey got home. Well, let's start from the beginning. Bailey's coworker, he's this guy that he's on my radar because he is socially awkward. And whenever I go into the store, he just catches my attention because he's socially awkward. And so Bailey came to me and she's like, so-and-so asked me to hang out with him. And I wasn't doing anything, so I agreed. But then when it was time to hang out, I didn't feel like hanging out, so I kind of flaked on him. I was like, well, that's not good behavior. She's like, I know. So the next time he asked me to hang out, which was yesterday, she's like, I'll make sure that I come through and, be a woman of my word. I was like, good, because you can't be out here flaking on people. Why? Because you don't want people to flake on you. And those aren't characteristics that are becoming of someone that's not friend-like behavior. She wasn't excited about hanging out with this kid, but she understands, this kid doesn't have a lot of people to hang out with, and she's not doing anything. So, she's being a martyr out here in these streets. And I was like, I hear you. You may find a friend. Who knows? We prejudge people. We put people in these boxes because this is somebody that I would not associate with. So I'm not even going to give them a chance. So I commend my daughter for giving this individual a chance. Hanging out with somebody, going and doing something she wouldn't typically do. She's not into anime, but the guy wanted to go to the anime convention, and then bonus, she sends me a text message and she's like, hey, can I take Angel with me to the anime convention? And I was like, okay, yeah, good. She was like, good, I could kill two birds with one stone, i.e. I can hang out with my younger sister, provide a bonding opportunity there, and I can go and explore something different and allow someone who is typically ostracized by society, give them an opportunity to feel like they belong. You know what I'm saying? And so I was really proud of Bailey, because I was just like, the character that you're displaying right now is very commendable. You are looking out for your fellow human. You know what I'm saying? And then you're looking out for your sister. We constantly go back and forth with her sister learning how to break away from the cycle of letting her sister know that she has a problem with her. Yes, Bailey used to do that, Bailey no longer does that. Now Bailey is working on the relationship with Angel, but Angel is still caught in the cycle of, I need to let you know I don't like you. I need to let you know that I have a problem with you. And so we're working on breaking Angel out of that cycle so that she stops exhibiting behaviors that are going to get her the opposite of what she wants. She wants a relationship with her sister, yet she keeps doing the things that her sister has asked her to stop doing. Why are you doing those behaviors? And that's what happened with Angel, y'all. She took our tahini, and those of you who know what tahini is, it be hitting. It's a little spice that they put on, their fruits and stuff. She's trying to protect. Yes, she is. She's put her walls up. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to teach her that you no longer have to protect yourself from us. We are no longer the bad guys in your story. We are your allies. So how do we build the trust up for you to trust us? And so she takes the tahini, y'all, and she's hiding it from us. She hid the tahini from us because she knows me and Dre. I don't know if it was me and Dre, or if it was just Dre, or if it was just me, but she hid the tahini. For a month, we are looking for this dang spice, and we can't find the spice. Man, the spice is in Angel's room, and she said she was eating it. She ain't been eating that dang tahini because the levels have not gone down. These kids got to learn how to effectively lie. If you're going to tell a lie, you got to slowly drop the level in the container, so when you say you've been eating it, I believe you've been eating it. But because it's damn near a brand new bottle, I was like, you ain't been eating that tahini. I was like, Angel, you took it and you hid it from us. Why? And that's how we got to the bottom of that. Sometimes she likes me, but most of the time she doesn't. Or most of the time she likes me, and the other time. Ask why, Pat. Ask why. I learned that this was passive aggressive things that Angel was doing to let us know, I'll get in trouble if I tell you something. So I'm just going to covertly, do some behind your back type stuff. So that's how we got into the conversation of, I was like, do you even like us? And she was like, no. And she said it with her chest, girl. She was like, no. She usually whispering, and she's just like, But I was like, do you even like me? Do you even like us? She's like, no, not really. I was like, dang, that came out way too fast and way too with your chest. And so that's how we got into that. May not cook dinner. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if my kid doesn't cook. That means I got to cook. Y'all know I struggle in that kitchen, so just pray. Just pray. Girl, I tell my teens, I know I get on your nerves. I used to tell my kids, up until this awakening in February, I used to tell my kids, I was like, y'all gonna need therapy after me. But then I had to be like, once I had my awakening in February, I was like, why am I content and happy? Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some spaghetti. But I messed up. Man, I made some spaghetti, and Bailey came in here and was like, what is this slop and gruel? I was like, damn. And then another time I made spaghetti, she was like, who made the spaghetti? Because it's disgusting. I was like, oh, okay. I struggle. And everybody that can cook is like, it's easy. Not for everybody. I don't know how to spice. And I use the same damn spices every time, but sometimes it's a hit and sometimes it's a miss. I don't know. So anyway, Bailey goes to this convention, and it reminded me of the scene in the movies where the popular kid goes and hangs out with the unpopular kid, and then while they're at whatever the uncool event is, all the popular kids show up and start making fun of the unpopular kid because they like stuff, like the anime convention. So when Bailey was talking about going to the anime convention with this individual, and when they got home, and I was like, well, how was it? She was like, it was boring. I was like, well, did you enjoy the company? Any type of... She's like, no. It was just... She's like, it's a bunch of weird people. And I was just like, well, I understand it's people who like something different than you do. But I was like, but that doesn't necessarily make them weird. And then it just made me think of what is popular and what is unpopular. And so I'm just going to read my notes and then I'm going to go into it. Cool kids like what everyone else likes. What is popular is what everyone else likes. So you are popular if you subscribe to groupthink. Groupthink is cool and individualism is not cool, which means the unpopular kid or the weird kids or the nerds are the ones who like the less popular activities. But Bailey did say, and this was her observation and takeaway, she was like, it's really cool to know that the people who don't like what the masses like, they have a community too. She was like, I went into this anime convention and there's hundreds of people who, someone who likes anime will feel isolated amongst their peers in their inner circle. You know what I'm saying? Someone who likes something that isn't like largely like anime's the bomb. I got Naruto on my wall, so I don't know, but we just talking. I ain't going to no anime convention. I ain't into anime like that, but every anime that my kids have turned me on to, I have binged every single one. But what I'm saying is, you like something that's not largely liked, which means your immediate circle probably makes you feel bad about liking it because they don't know how to just mind their motherfucking business. You know what I'm saying? T-shirt available at LonnieTaylorArt.com. But she said it was really cool to go to this anime convention and see all these people who potentially feel isolated in their day-to-day lives can go somewhere and meet up with like-minded people and just feel like they belong for at least a couple hours of their life. You know what I'm saying? So she's like, it was really cool to observe that. And it was really cool to hear my daughter say that was her takeaway from the anime convention. So it just really made me realize the way that our society is set up, not realize because I've known, but just revisit. The way that our society is set up is popularity is groupthink. You really get rewarded for being like everyone else. And it is really, really pervasive within the Black community. And it's really, really pervasive because we hold at such esteem the Black experience, which means in order for us to have the Black experience, we must have shared experiences, which means we must like the same things. We must listen to the same music. We must have the same backgrounds, which means everybody must be doing the same. And if you don't, I have a friend all the time where I'll quote a historically Black movie, which means the 90s, the 2000s. You know, I'll record what is a classic Black movie, or I'll quote, a classic Black movie, and she's just like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, sis, once again, I'm going to take your Black card, and I don't know why I keep giving you your Black card back, because you don't have the shared experience. Like, she grew up in a trailer park. Like, she's not one of us. And I'm joking, but you know what I'm saying. She does not have the shared Black experience. And so she lives in Atlanta and she feels completely socially awkward because she doesn't fit in. And I was like, now that I know what the Black experience is and its highly masked behavior, I was like, it must be very difficult for an authentic person to thrive in the Atlanta area, because from what I see, again, look, like I said on the other live, I didn't even know they had houses in the city in New York. So I only know what they show on TV because I've never been to New York and I've only seen movies and they're always apartments. So someone who actually lives in New York had to like, yes, silly, there's houses. I didn't know, you know, and so forgot my other point, but I didn't know either. I have people like that. Girl, I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the group thinkers. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. And we don't even realize because we feel comfort in the group. You know what I'm saying? When we're an outlier, we do our best to fit in. And if we look at the movies and how they depict it, an outlier who is allowed to enter the inner circle, as soon as they get into the inner circle, they change and evolve. And they start liking the things that the popular kids like. So yes, you liked anime and you liked going to the anime conventions before, but now that you're allowed to enter into the popular kid group, liking anime is uncool. So all of a sudden, you don't like anime. What does that mean? It's not that you don't like anime anymore. It's that you begin to mask. And you are denying a part of yourself just so you could be a part of the bigger crowd. So we have to make sure that our kids, as they gain popularity, as they start making friends, that they still hold on to who they are and they're not doing what's necessary to fit in with the fit-ins. You know what I'm saying? Now, we don't want to be like, remember you used to like anime? Remember you used to like anime? Well, I don't like anime no more. Okay, you can evolve and grow, but we have to make sure that what I've learned with evolution and growth is you don't have to look back at your past negatively. If you evolve and grow from liking something, why does it have to now become a negative? And that roots back to, just because you say something I don't like, now we can't be friends anymore. I'm not your friend anymore because you have an opinion that doesn't align with mine. So the fragility of it all. You know what I'm saying? So just because we stop liking something or just because we stop doing something doesn't mean it automatically has a negative aspect to it. It's like something has to turn negative in our head to disassociate. How about we just disassociate because it doesn't feed our soul anymore? It doesn't feed our spirit anymore. You know, I used to scroll through the shade room all the time. I was in everybody's business. And then it no longer, once I started my spiritual evolution and I learned how to mind my motherfucking business, I was just like, you know what? I don't need to scroll the shade room anymore. Now, typically, what society has taught me to do is, because I no longer do a behavior, I must now look at that behavior negatively. But there's a space for unplugging and going and mindlessly doing whatever it is. And so I am in the midst of self-checking myself while I have this conversation and realizing this is something that I do. When I stop doing something, I look at it in a negative light. For some reason, if I look at it in a negative light, then I feel stronger in resisting doing it. You know what I'm saying? I stopped drinking alcohol because alcohol is bad. No, I'm just choosing not to drink alcohol. And I'm not going to it's easier to move on. I'm not going to demonize other people who drink alcohol. Remember, we go get religion, and all of a sudden, the people who were doing all the things before that we were doing with them, they're all terrible people and heathens, and they're going, to HE hockey sticks, double L hockey. I don't know how the hell you say it, but I just said hell, so they're going to hell. We're out here and we just must demonize everything. And we have to be careful of that. I have to be careful of that. Just because I have moved on from a particular behavior does not mean that that behavior was bad. It just means that it no longer serves me. It doesn't mean that that person is bad. It just means they no longer have a space in my life. And that doesn't mean that breakups need to be bitter. It just means that I have moved on. And it's okay to move on without demonizing. And so when we're thinking of the popular and the unpopular kids, I said the goal is to exist in both worlds. I said Bailey can hang with the cool kids and she can hang with the outcasts. Bailey can hang out in both groups. I can hang out in both groups. And I realized that the people who can hang out in both groups are kind of the outliers. I said she's a bridge if she allows. She understands both and speaks a coded language. Someone who can hang out in both atmospheres, areas, groups, they speak a coded language. And when I say they speak a coded language, I mean they could speak to the popular kids and they understand, and they can speak to the unpopular kids and they understand. That's why they're a bridge. That's why they can go between this group and this group. There's people who can't cross groups for whatever reason. But there's people who can hang on both sides. And the reason why they speak a coded language is they can speak into this group and they could speak into this group. She understood, okay, I am a bridge and other bridges can hear me. So it made me think that she's a bridge, which means she closes the gap between the popular kids and the unpopular kids. She could come to the middle and she can speak to both and she could bring them together. And then thinking of that, I was like, I'm a bridge. And anyone who is able to take a message and deliver it, they're a bridge. In the language that I speak, other bridges hear it. So Pat, you're probably a bridge. You can tell me, you can move in all the groups. You don't belong to one particular group. You're capable of moving in all circles because you're a bridge. I'm capable of moving in all circles because I'm a bridge. So talking to my daughter yesterday, I identified that the goal is to be able to move in all circles, to be able to fit everywhere. And the reason why you fit everywhere isn't because you're masking, but in your authenticity, you're able to communicate here, you're comfortable. You're able to communicate here because you're comfortable. You're able to be comfortable. An outlier is a bridge because they don't really fit in, but they do. You must ignite or power on, so you can deliver the message to your community. So I'm an outlier and I am building a community. Yes, respect the opportunities, agreed. I am building a community of outliers. We are finding each other. We are people who never probably fit in the masses. Yes, we can move in all groups, but we never fit in. We never have found our circle to fit our circle into. We've always been the circle trying to fit into a square. Yes, we're all shapes. So we can shape together. But right now, as outliers are all coming together in this space, we are finally finding our circle to fit into. What's key about that is I don't have the voice or the capacity to reach everyone. And I'm not being full of myself, but it's very imperative, especially as you scroll your timeline. Everybody is waking up. It's funny because I'm always on the precipice of change. Like I always do something right before something kicks off, where it's just like everywhere. And so I'm listening to these messages and I'm feeling good about the messages because the messages have finally shifted from, which is beautiful, the original message. For a long time, we didn't even identify that there is a problem. So the message went from everything is fine to there's a problem. And so we sat in that space for a while where we were just like, everybody, this is trauma bonding. Everybody sitting around and saying, there's a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem. And everybody gathering around saying, yes, there's a problem, there's a problem. And so for a very long time, we have been stuck in the space as a community of identifying and acknowledging that there's a problem. Yes, there is a problem. Now we are coming into the space where we're like, there's a problem and we need help. Acknowledging that you need help. So I see a lot of messages that are coming across my timeline where people are no longer acknowledging and coming together and celebrating because we all have woken up to the fact that there is a problem. Now everybody is coming together and they're celebrating when they're realizing that we need help. Now there's a small fraction of us who understand how to help. And that's what this content is. We acknowledge there's a problem, i.e. trauma bonding. We acknowledge that we need help. which is the space that we are largely in as a community. And there are very few outliers out there who are speaking up, because this is the popular message. So a lot of people who are out there are on this message simply because it's going to get them attention. Pay attention to that. Use your spirit of discernment, because as they realize and acknowledge that there's a problem, are they offering solutions? If they're offering solutions, this is someone you should probably listen to, especially if the solutions align with what you feel is real. But if they're just saying, we need help, but they're not offering solutions, their chances are just someone who's on it because it's something to be on. But there's a couple of us who are tapped in, who have a platform, who could be like, yes, there's a problem, we need help, and here are some possible solutions. And that's what we're doing here. And I am calling in other outliers, other people who understand that there's a problem, we need help, and here are some possible solutions. And as we come together and we start building our community here, we can now take that information into our own personal communities and we can internalize it. Remember, we're taking in information, we are dispelling what isn't for us, and then we are going and taking that, becoming of it, and now we can deliver the message in our own words, in our own energy, and now we can impact our own communities. So it's very important for us as outliers, for us people that can go and talk to all groups, for us to find the solutions so that we can now take those solutions and deliver them to our communities. So this is what I identify as a central space for us all to commune, come in, share our thoughts and ideas, and grow and feed each other, and then take that knowledge and growth and go off into our communities, i.e. our families, our friends, anyone that we come in contact with, and we are feeding that information and we are planting seeds because we are the seed planters. Yes, dear.
Can I use a Sharpie?
Sure, there's a Sharpie in the drawer. Oh, well, you can use those Sharpies too. We have to apply the knowledge. We have to not only attain it, but we must apply it. But it's so difficult because it conflicts and contradicts everything we have been, and it definitely goes against the Black experience. Sis, what is worrisome to me is a lot of us are going to start waking up. We're already aware, but a lot of us are going to start waking up and realizing the lives that we have created for ourselves are lies. And the people who are going to start waking up to that have homes, have investments, have spouses, have children, have an entire life. Like some of us, we're barely living. Me too. But I'm barely living, so I'm just like, y'all can have all this stuff. I don't want it anyway. I'm going to take my husband. I'm going to keep my kids. Y'all can have everything else. But it's not disheartening. I'm not a proponent for divorce. I'm not advocating for broken homes. But what I am advocating is for peace, self-awareness, and establishing the life that you know that you deserve now that you're aware. The thing is, we weren't aware before. We married the spouses that we married because we thought that was the best out there for some of us. You know what I'm saying? Up until I aligned with my husband, I didn't know that there was a guy. Every single man has made me cry that I encountered in my life. Every single man I have looked at like, ugh, you get on my goddamn nerves, So I didn't even know it was possible. What is it? The law of probability. Maybe it's not the law of probability. All I'm saying is, if you dealt with 10 people and all of them are crap humans, you're probably thinking, man, this whole gender is just crap. I know that's what I was thinking, but I found the one. And I was just like, yo, this is possible. Let me go tell my sisters that there's actually good men out there, and there's good men that you actually want to associate with. You know, typically the good man is somebody you don't really want to deal with. You know, he ain't your kind, but he's nice. You know, but there's a type that's your kind and he's nice. Yo, they're out there. So I came a running and I came telling everybody. And now when I talk to other women and they're talking about their experiences, I'm just like, yo, that's possible. So we have allowed ourselves to live in a space and exist in spaces because we didn't even know something else was possible. Because our history and everybody else's combined history tells us that it's not. There are good men. I found me one and I'm raising some. So I know that there's good men. And my boys are cute. So they going to be good men and they fine just like they daddy. Shoot, they out there. And so I didn't know though until I met my husband. I've met nice guys, but they weren't guys that I wanted to be with. I didn't really particularly like them, but they treated me nice. You know, so when they say nice guys finish last, and the truth is the guys out here who are being nice, they're only being nice because that's how they figured out how to get the girl. The true nice guys are, I could get you anyway, but I'm just a nice guy. That's my husband. My husband had no problem getting the girls. You know, it's the ones who can't get a girl otherwise unless they're nice. Those are the ones that will flip on you in a second. Let them start getting some attention. Those are the ones that go and get money so they could get the attention and they stop being nice. So it took me a while to figure out that there's something more out there. And so that's just a concern that I have as we begin to awaken and we realize that this misery that we have accepted for our lives isn't what is intended by the divine. The divine did not send us, or we did not choose to come into this lifetime to be miserable. But just because everybody, I didn't know, sis, I didn't know that happy marriages existed until I got married. And I was like, I'm kind of happy here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not perfect, but I'm not unhappy. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy now. But I went through a phase where it was just like, I'm not unhappy. I've been unhappy. And now I'm just content with not being happy, but I'm not unhappy. And now that I know that happiness is possible, i.e. open and honest communication. Oh, and I did ask my husband if he was unhappy in the relationship, and he said he's not. So there's a plus there. You know, but we evolve and we grow within each other, and who knew that was possible? Who has seen it happen? Yeah, I'll be back. Or yeah, thank you. You know, so as we learn more possibilities, that's just my only concern as we begin to awaken and realize that the lies that we have created for ourselves are lies, and they were built on a mask. We create entire realities based on a mask. I'm fearful of that, but I'm also thankful of that. But I know there's going to be a lot of people who are truly moving in their truth. There's potentially going to be a lot of breaking downs going on. And so that's the one thing that I am not excited about as we all begin to go through our awakenings and we all start aligning with our truths. I'm just like, man, there's going to be a lot of, I can't do this anymore. But the good thing is, like, when I told my husband, I was like, look, if you aren't willing to move, then we're going to have to separate, and we're going to have to be okay with that. The breaking doesn't have to be bitter. You know what I'm saying? Especially if your spouse is unwilling to move. It doesn't have to be bitter from your perspective. It could be from theirs, but it doesn't have to be bitter. It's just like, this is no longer serving me. Matter of fact, it never served me. I only married you because you asked me. I only married you because I wanted to be married. I thought marriage was a miserable experience. I just thought it was a box to check. But now I realize that it can be something that's joyous and something that's workable. And since you're not willing to work with me, I gotta go. Hey, Vaughn. So it's gonna be interesting. As more of us awaken to our potential, as more of us awaken to the possibilities, it's going to be interesting to see how, I'll never know because it's people's personal lives, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out as people start aligning with their personal truths and truly knowing that they deserve everything. And you can have everything, but you have to do the work to align with it. You have to do the work mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. All the work is necessary in order for you to align with your truth and to be confident enough to walk in it, because a lot of us are unpopular people, but we created popular lives. And because we created these lives off of popularity, we have now created lives that do not fulfill us and that are lies. Let's see. Yes, the attention creates a monster. Man. Yes.
Can I show everybody my new teeth?
Oh, Michael wants to show you his loose tooth. You see that? His adult tooth is coming in behind his two smaller teeth. But why is his adult tooth the size of two of his baby teeth? I'm like, dang, you about to have a Michael B. White. What's his name? Killmonger. Yes. Patricia said, go big boy. You about to have a Michael B. White or whatever his name is mouth with all them teeth in there. Yes, he's really excited. He said he's going to put his teeth under his... The tooth that's coming in is the space of two teeth. B. Jordan, thank you. He about to have a Michael... Jai White is the guy who does Tyler Perry's, and B. Jordan is Killmonger. All them teeth. It's about to be this one right here.
When my loose teeth when my loose teeth come out, I'm gonna put it under the pillow for the tooth fairy.
Yes.
It's real.
The tooth fairy is real. Apparently someone has taught my child about the tooth fairy.
It's SpongeBob.
SpongeBob has taught my child about the tooth fairy, so now I have to, experience the tooth fairy. Man, I just be sitting waiting for my kids to wake up. When they woke up to the guy. You know who the guy is. When my kids woke up to the guy, I was like, thank you, because I'm so tired of writing their name on stuff. He ain't done nothing in this household. Everything under that mug, it came from me and your daddy. I'm tired of giving credit. This old white man. Why it gotta be an old white man? Why can't it be an old black man? Why it gotta be, the great white savior who came in and made it possible? Nah, bump that. Man, it's exciting. But yeah, one of his teeth is the space of two of his baby teeth. And his adult tooth is coming in behind his baby teeth. So I'm not sure when his next dentist appointment, but I think that's problematic. My kids be having some great teeth until their adult teeth start coming in, and then they start looking like me. And I'm like, yep, you're the next one to get braces. Sorry. My kids all got foreheads and messed up teeth. Got it from my daddy. I wanted to talk about how my stepson has moved in with us because of whatever he's got going on. Save money. He's nomadic. He has a nomadic life. But, I was walking around yesterday in my sports bra. And I post videos. You go to the gym and walk around in your sports bra. It's thank you. It's a sports bra. Thank you. My kids, they are beautiful. He is going to have a big smile. He going to be something else, y'all. I just be sitting there staring at my boys. I'm like, y'all's future is bright as hell. One thing about my husband, he has some beautiful children. All 5 of them. Beautiful. My kids are beautiful as well, but my husband, he had children with 2 different women, and all 5 of those babies are just stunning. And so, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Walking around in a sports bra. And he's moving his stuff in, and I come out the room, and I'm like, do I have to put a shirt on? And he was like, yeah, that'll be cool. I was like, does that mean yes? And he's like, yes. I was like, okay. And so I go and I put a shirt on, and I just am in awe of the fact that I had that conversation with him. The fact that I was considerate enough of his comfortability in this environment that I asked him, because in the past I wouldn't have even asked. I would have just walked around in my sports bra. This is my house. I walk around everybody else in a sports bra. Why are you any different? And so I just really was like, that was a level of growth for us. You know what I'm saying? The bat, the broom, and the 45. Man, I just got to teach my boys to respect themselves and to respect the ladies. And of course, Dad's going to do the same. And I think we're going to be okay. I already told Dre, I was like, man, if they don't have birth control by the time my sons are of age, vasectomies for everybody. I don't know. But I'm just like, I don't want my kids to get caught up in it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want my boys to get caught up in what most boys get caught up in. I don't know if vasectomies are the way to go, but freeze some sperm, educate them. Yeah, just educate them. Yeah, to my understanding, Bailey's pretty adamant about her protection. So I think that it's possible to raise your children where they value protection. I didn't really value protection. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But I wasn't raised to value it. You know, it was just, this is what you're supposed to do. There was no anchor point. That is something that I am finding that is important in all knowledge sharing. That it needs to have an anchor point in order to hold a place of value, in order for someone to apply it to their life. I'm not just doing this because mom and dad or guardian told me. I'm doing this because it means something, which means I took in the information, I got rid of the junk, and I kept what was for me. So I understand it's very important to protect myself. Someone who did not feel it was very important to protect themselves was Sherry Tate, the Domino series. This is available at LonnieTaylorArt.com. She is a young lady who contracts HIV because she was unprotected with her husband, her longtime boyfriend. And what does she do when she figures that out? I don't know. You'll have to read the book. Pick up your copy at LonnieTaylorArt.com. So, you know, it wasn't necessarily fed into me. And so I did it because society said. But I was inconsistent. But I think if I raise my children with believing that this is just how it's done, especially my boys, then they'll just come in and be like, no condom. Who raised you? We're using condoms. And I'm not having random children. That's not what we do. So I think you're right. If we raise our children to understand that that's not what they choose, that we choose for them to choose, because I'm making the choice first. You ain't having no random babies out here. You're not having random babies by random men, you know. Now, I'm not going to judge you if that so happens, and I'm not going to make you feel any kind of way if that so happens, because it happens. But we're not going out here. I literally grew up in, you don't need a man to raise a baby. That's what I grew up in. When my cousin when my cousin was 16, she got pregnant. And I was a year behind her. I was 15. And I just remember hearing all the elders in our family saying, you don't need no man to raise no baby. You don't need no man to raise no baby. And so when it came time for me to have kids, I was like, well, I don't need a man to raise no baby. And I understand we have developed that mentality because, you know, you don't need a man to raise a baby. I've raised children. I mean, there's people all around the world, you know, walking around that were not raised with a man in the home. But it sure as hell helps when I look at Michael and he just idolizes his father. I see the value of having a man in the house. Yes, I am the primary caregiver. these kids come to me first and now they're learning to go to their father because I redirect. No, you're not just going to come to me. I'm not the only parent. Go talk to your daddy. No, you're not going to walk by your father in the kitchen to come ask me for something that's in the kitchen. Go ask your dad. And Caden had a complete meltdown the other night because he was just like, the dad's gonna say no. And I was just like, okay. And when I saw Dre, I was just like, Caden just had a meltdown because he was afraid to ask you because he already knows you're going to say no. So you need to check that. Because if they don't want to come to you because your default is no, that means you have created an environment with these children where they're not even going to talk to you because they believe you're automatically going to say no. So you need to check that. But in that, I'm going to continue to redirect your children and send them to you because you are also a parent. You are also an authority in this home, and they need to stop undermining you by walking right past you. Please turn that down. And coming to me. So no, you don't need a man to raise a baby. And I believe that, yes, that made me feel better about being a single mother. But raising children with the father and seeing the impact that he has on these children, knowing the impact that my husband has had for decades as a barber, and the fact that we became friends because I saw the father that he was, because he was a single father, and I was like, hey, can you be a father figure to Bailey? I see the value. So it should not be the aim and the goal when your 16-year-old is pregnant and you're telling her, it's cool, you don't need a man. I think that's sending the wrong message. It's empowering. Look, you're in a situation, you can't control the circumstances. You got a village. You got me, you got Dre, you got your brothers, you got your sisters, you got your aunts, you got your uncles, you got everybody. You don't need him. If he doesn't want to be here, you don't need him. But I think we need to discontinue the narrative that you don't need a man to raise a child because a child deserves access to both parents. The parents don't need to be in a relationship, but the child needs access. I posted those videos and it's so crazy the reaction I was getting to the videos of having a conversation with Angel about her absent father. This is too personal to post on the internet. This is, she looked awkward. She looked uncomfortable with the conversation. I was like, okay, sis, I respect your experience. Let me go and rewatch these videos and see how my daughter looked uncomfortable. I was like, my daughter is lounging. My daughter is, I believe they need access. Yes, agreed. You know, my daughter's lounging. My daughter's laughing. My daughter is shocked. My daughter is eating her Takis, or not her Takis, her Pocky sticks, and drinking my water and putting backwash in it. You know, she doesn't look uncomfortable to me. I was like, you know what is uncomfortable? Finding out that your mom was a hoe.
What?
I know, right? In your time, if you left the room, I could speak freely. But yes, mom was out here. She was in these streets. She was outside. And, you know, finding out your dad is just some guy she knew for 3 weeks. I know. It's like, what? Finding those things out are uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? The conversation in itself wasn't uncomfortable. I asked her before I had the conversation, I was like, Angel, do you want to know these things? Because Angel has always come to me and she's just like, feels that she's done something and that's why her father isn't around. So for 11 years, as my daughter has come to me, I have put a Band-Aid on it. It has nothing to do with you, Angel. Put a Band-Aid on it. No, your father's not absent because of anything you've done. Put a Band-Aid on it. So because I am not giving her the anchor point or the backstory, she is now left to create this narrative in her head of why her father isn't here. Yes, my mother said it's not this, but what is it? She's not telling me because it's not appropriate for me to know, or I'm not old enough to know, but she's still going to create her own narrative. So The time that I recorded that video, it wasn't like I was like, okay, Angel, this is what we're going to talk about. Are you ready? No, that's not what happened. What happened was we were in here talking, having a conversation, which is what happens all the time. We're having conversations, and I'm like, this is good. Other people can learn from this. Do you mind if I start recording? And my family's either going to say yes, or my family's going to say no. Or my family's going to say, you can record my voice, but not my face. So what people fail to understand, when I say this is my motherfucking family, that means that I have asked everyone. If they are on camera, the question has been asked. And it's not, I ask you once, and now I'm always going to stick a camera in your face. No. Every single time. Do you mind if I record this? And no, I don't say, can I post it? Because I'm recording it, so we automatically know it's going to be posted. I don't record stuff from my private stash so I can sit back and kiki later. No, my family knows if I pull out a camera, it's because it's something that I'm going to post. And my family all has a space where they can say, I don't want you to. This makes me uncomfortable. And they all have. They all do. So it's just really interesting to me how many people kind of put their own perspective or their own insecurities or their own hangups on my content. And I get it. This is the first As the Apple Turns video that you've seen, and you don't know how we get down over here. You think I'm just posting stuff because, ooh, this is going to go, you know. No, I'm not exploiting my children.
Do you know you just uploaded a video from YouTube?
No, I didn't know that. You know, I'm not exploiting my husband. Everybody's like, you know, putting that camera in that man's face and asking him questions. He's 7 years older than me. If you don't think that a 49-year-old man has the capacity to say, I don't like that, what kind of men are you dealing with? For you to think that my husband cannot say, I see, that's cool. For you to feel that my husband does not have the capacity to say, this makes me uncomfortable, what kind of men are you dealing with? Mind your business, I promise. So it's so weird. But I just respond to people when she was like, why would you post this on or they, I don't know what they are. Why would you post this on the internet? I was like, I should delete it, huh? And then they came back, yes, because would you want a video of you talking about your personal business on the internet? I'm talking about my personal business. I'm literally telling my child that I was out in these streets. I literally tell you guys all the time about my past. So how would I feel? Now I understand that she has made a decision as an 11-year-old that later as an 18-year-old or a 15-year-old she may feel different about. She's okay today. Will she be okay tomorrow? I don't know. But that's where I use my awareness, and there's no parts of that video. I didn't shame her. I didn't make her feel bad about her circumstances. How many children are out here from broken homes? And sorry if that language is offensive. Homes that are not together. But I'm going to say broken because I'm not going to say 50 words to make you feel okay and warm and fuzzy about my language when I could just say broken and we all know what that means. How many children come from that background? Yet you want to make one child feel bad because they actually talked about it and now she has understanding and she can stop creating the narrative like my father is rejecting me? No, your father is not rejecting you. Your father is throwing a tantrum because the circumstances are out of his control. Half of these men who are absent aren't absent because of the child. They're absent because they are throwing a tantrum because this woman is having a child and he has no say in it. And that's what's happening. That's what happened with her father. He tried everything under the sun to get me to terminate. And I was like, nah, I'm good. You don't have to be here because I don't need a man to raise a baby. And so I posted that video because there are so many young children walking around this earth who are confused, who feel like it's their fault, who have questions. And the parents are like, not yet, not yet, not ever. We've all been there. And so I posted the video because I want people to be able to see it's okay to have these conversations with your children. There's an age-appropriate way that you can enter into this conversation and empower your child. I'm not telling you to post it on the internet. But if you understand my content, you understand why I posted it on the internet. Because I am trying to inspire others. Not trying, I am. I am inspiring others to have those very difficult conversations. Because they're healing conversations that are necessary. My daughter has suffered internally because of the narrative that she has created within her head in relation to her absent father. I just ended her suffering, and I did it on camera. So does she look uncomfortable? If you see that, I see my kid just being my kid. Maybe her default is uncomfortable. Maybe that's it. But if she is at all uncomfortable, I doubt it's because of the camera. I doubt it's because of the context. It probably has everything to have to do with the fact that your mama was outside and she only knew your daddy for 3 weeks. That's a shocker. I have a grown relative who needed that type of conversation and was denied that truth. Withholding the information hurts worse. It hurts worse, you know? And if all it takes is my child to be willing to have that type of conversation on the internet so that other people can see that, oh, okay, at the end of the day, I do what I do because we need to see it somewhere first. And this goes back to seeing the possibilities. When people learn that there's something else possible out there, we live in secrecy because everybody in our inner circle lives in secrecy. We live in secrecy because everyone tells us to live our lives in secret. But if we can see an example of somebody who is putting their business out there and they're not being ostracized. Oh my God. She had the conversation and people don't hate her and people aren't throwing tomatoes at her and people aren't treating her like crap. And you know what's crazy? If people did treat me like crap, those people who were on the sideline watching to see how people react to me would probably join in with the people who are treating me like crap, even though they were standing to the sideline seeing what's going to happen. Because they're not secure enough in themselves to be able to walk in their truth. So now they join in with the popular people who are ostracizing, pointing fingers, throwing tomatoes, and saying, why are you posting this? But because the beauty in our community is you guys know my intentions and the things that I post. You guys know that this is a healing journey and some healing, difficult conversations are going to be had. Some healing that my daughter needs to do is some healing that somebody else's daughter needs to do, somebody else's son needs to do, somebody else's child needs to do. And my daughter is willing to do it on camera. And the only one who looked bad in that conversation was her mama, who had very low standards back in the day. She ain't got to be embarrassed for me. I'm not embarrassed. Why should she? I'm like, any kid that wants to make fun of your mama being outside, tell them to go have a conversation with their mama and see if their mama was outside too. Everybody's outside look different, but everybody been outside. I just admit it. We're all insecure. I'm just the first to admit it. What Kanye say? So yeah, with my stepson, I really thought it was cool that I respected him enough to find out what he needed to be comfortable in this space. And then I liked that he was comfortable enough to tell me in his language, that'll be cool. He didn't say, yes, please put a shirt on. He was like, yeah, that'll be cool. So he was comfortable enough to communicate back to me his standard of care instructions. So we can start off, he's going to be here for however long he's going to be here. He's traveling out of state and doing all the things he's doing. He just needs a central location to land at. And so he's able to land here. But, him being able to, that's pretty. I like your bows. She made a birthday thing for her friend. Her friend's birthday is coming up. Very beautiful. Good job, kiddo. And so I went to Dre and I was like, yo, I had a conversation. With Andre Jr. and I know as soon as I started talking, Dre was waiting for me to, and that would have been the energy. That's why this is such a win for me. And like I say all the time, we have to walk through our lives seeking wins. The way that we get those wins and that winning spirit is to constantly show up for ourselves and look for new ways that we could show up for ourselves. So I know when I went up to Dre and I was just like, Andre was in the kitchen and, I was walking around in a sports bra. I know Dre automatically was like, oh, she's starting already. I was like, no, I told him the story. And when I finished telling him the story, I was like, I bet you were ready for me to come to you with some energy. And of course he was like, no, I wasn't. And I was like, no, yes, you were. Why were you? Because I've only ever came to you with the energy. This is one of the first times that I've come to you with a story about your children that does not have any energy. It's actually a celebratory story because I showed your son the respect that he deserves. He is another person that's living in this space. So what do you need? I care what Bailey needs to be in this space. I care what Angel needs to be in this space. I care with everybody, your daddy, everybody. I care what everybody needs to be in this space. So what do you need to be okay in this space? I got to put a shirt on. I did stomp my foot because I was like, damn it. I like walking around in my sports bra. I don't want to have to go put on a whole outfit to leave my room. You know what I'm saying? But I respected him and he respected me. And it was a big move for us. And it was a step in the right direction. I had a conversation with him the other day because he came over and he gave me a hug when he came in the house. Like, this is big stuff, y'all. He gives me a hug when he comes in the house. And whenever his kids hug me, I'm just like, this is happening. Okay. So he gave me a hug and we were in here talking. And I told him, I was like, I realized that healing doesn't look the same for all of us. I think this is a conversation we had the other day, Pat. I think it was you. We always talk and I just be mixing up our conversations. But everybody's healing doesn't look the same. Everybody's journey isn't the same. And the reason why I have been pushing for us to have these conversations was because I feel that these honesty conversations are necessary for healing. And I still do, but I also know some people's healing doesn't look like that. Some people are able to move on or repress or whatever without it. I don't know. Because I still, y'all, this is where y'all need to chime in now because now I'm theorizing. Dre's like, I don't need to have all these conversations. It was you, Pat. Boom. No, it wasn't a false memory this time. So Dre's like, I don't need to have all these conversations to heal. That may be what you need, but I don't need that. Is it possible to heal without... I understand, like, I'm healed with my mom. My mom no longer walks this earth. So I'm able to have a conversation in a healing moment. But if she still walked this earth, would I be okay? Is it possible? I know it's possible, but I'm thinking, can I come to peace with someone who is still on this earth and I'm not able to have a conversation with, but I'm still expected to interact and function with that person? Does that make sense? Like, me and everybody in my family, we're a family of 8. If we don't clear the air, is it possible to heal? That's my question. I don't know. I've never done it, you know? I've done it with people who are no longer here. My grandfather can't atone for his sins. It is? Okay. You got to give me more than it is, Pat. Go on, help and teach this lesson, because you're teaching me, and you got to give me an anchor point, sis. It can't just be it is. I need some information so I can internalize it and get rid of doesn't feed me and get what does feed me. It's like forgiving without getting an apology. Okay, so it roots in forgiveness. Because honestly, is that what healing is? It's coming to terms with something that someone did to you or something that happened to you. Forgiving the circumstances or the person, and building yourself up in the space of the deficit. So the deficit is no longer there, which is the healing piece. And then the person is the forgiveness piece. So there's two pieces to healing. What is healing? Hold on, Bailey just texted me. No, I was concerned as well. All right, let's see. No, forgive yourself. No, unnecessary. No, it was an accident. And because it was an accident, come help him pick that up. You don't just drop his things and just keep going. Pick it up and apologize and say it was an accident.
Sorry, it was an accident. Thank you.
Okay, good.
My hands are floppy.
Okay. Pay attention to your proximity and what's in your space. No, forgive yourself, then everyone and everything else. I ain't even gonna try to bring you on, Pat, because you ain't got no audio. They hating on us. They won't let us be great. What helps me is seeing that everyone is doing their best with the tools that they have. I like that.
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
So, when Mother's Day on there, Mother's Day on here, there's like climb on to a house.
He climbed on the house?
No, the neighbor there, he down the bottom of the boy to climb, but with dogs, but he busted and you very with dogs.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
He do it then, Yelly didn't do
What
it.
helps me is seeing that everyone is doing their best with the tools they have. I was on another panel the other night. I don't know why my mic ain't on over here. I don't know, but I think that when we break down and we get to the point where I got some questions and I need some answers, I need you to be able to pop in and feed into me, sis. I like that. I think that being able to observe people and seeing them live in their truth, that helps me be okay. Do you know how to add panels? No, what is that? I click on guests and I see you and Vaughn, and I can hit invite. Turn off multi-guests. I'm hitting settings. I hit panel. Switch to panel layout. Your guests and viewers will see the layout change immediately. That didn't do anything, but I just hit. All right. I changed it to panels and I invited you. Fixed layout, permission, allow requests for viewers requests. I think we have audio.
Can you hear me? Hey, I'm on.
Yeah.
High five. Hold on, let me try to get one.
That's so funny.
Hey, I'm in here. Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. My buzz don't die.
All right. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Let me see if I can take you out the corner now.
Yeah, y'all saying hi.
Hey, how are you? Hey. I love it.
Hello, Mini Me.
Yeah.
Turn my volume up so I can hear you.
trying to get you out of the corner.
Now my mic sometimes sounds terrible, as everybody tells me. So if I do, my bad.
If you want I don't know how to get you out the corner now.
I'm good in the corner.
All right. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
No, I was about to say that too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nah, what I was saying is, oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was gonna say, so working through the forgiveness and all those different things. What you got for me, sis? And the healing.
I was gonna say, cause I don't know when you lost your mother, but I lost my father at 11. So, that kind of set me up for being pushed into healing. Went through all the stages of mourning. I didn't cry when he passed away because of all the trauma that happened throughout childhood. I had to call the police on my father to get him off my mother. So like, I was that little girl that was like, yeah, when I'm big enough, I'm gonna whoop. Like, so in him passing, it was like, okay, I'm never gonna get that chance. And then as I grew, I finally hit 17. I'm sorry. I finally hit 17, and I was just like, you know, when you come into that awareness that mommy's not always innocent.
Yeah.
Especially when you're becoming a woman and you see like the stuff that you do. It's like the choices that you make. It's like, I can see where somebody would have knocked me upside my head for some things, but not taking away from what was done being wrong. But I had to realize that I'm looking at him as a villain. I'm never going to receive an apology. I'm never going to get that heart to heart. And I used to cry about it. That was the first time I cried. It was at 17. And I used to howl. And remembering my room was connected to my mother's. She would hear me. There's no way she couldn't hear me. But what could she do? So I overall had to look at myself and forgive myself for how I felt. Forgive myself for not being big enough to do anything. Forgive myself for not knowing better than times where I was so silenced with fear because of what was going on between them. I didn't know if I was going to get the same reaction, so I wouldn't say nothing. When looking back, I had opportunities to speak with him, but as a kid, you just like, you might, so let me not. Yeah, so it forced me, and also with dealing with SA from the age of 4 to 8, and I didn't tell my mom about it until my boyfriend outed me because I told him at 17. A lot of stuff was happening at 17. He outed me to my mom because we were all in the same church, and he was a mama's boy, so he had a very, very close relationship with his mother. And he's just like, how could I take this back home and your mom doesn't know? So I was pissed at him, but I was so relieved because now this burden I carried for so long that actually built the wedge between me and my mom was now there on the table. We could talk about it, and she cried. So it was like where I thought, oh, you don't care about me. In that moment, I got to realize you're human and you're vulnerable. And yeah, like we become...
You're competing with the Baba black sheep.
I know, I'm sorry. She loud. Let's turn your volume down, baby. There you go. I'm sorry. So, oh, I'm sorry. It's not TV. It's my baby. Girl, you're going to turn the volume back up. I guess I'm going to have to get out. You got to go in the living room with Zaya.
Well, it's good to know I'm not the only one.
Girl, this is why I don't go on live. Like, I don't be on live like that. I wish I could be on all the time, but I don't because nobody would be able to hear me. But honestly, I started with the forgiving everybody else. I started with that. I didn't really feel anything until I forgave myself. Like, you know, when it hits home and you get that deep, like, oh my God, that relief. Like, oh shoot, like I never forgave myself. I never held myself accountable. I never hugged that inner child. Like, honestly, forgiveness is not for other people, it's for yourself, because you're freeing yourself from prison while she's not in the room. I'm sorry. Well, you're freeing yourself from a mental prison, an emotional prison that you've placed yourself in unknowingly. So with your mom, I know everything that happened was traumatic. I know you have your memories, but there's a chunk of our mother's lives that we were not there for. There's experiences that they had that I know for myself and all of my overwhelm, and when I get to my darkest dark, because I am a semicolon person. When I get to my lowest points and I know my triggers are coming and I feel it coming on and it's starting to get heavy, my kids don't understand that. So if I were to decide to, and I've been in those moments where I'm just like sitting in thought process, if I were to decide to go ahead, they wouldn't even know my side of the story because I don't talk about it a lot. And the only other person that I have in my life that I talk to, he doesn't fully understand. The only person who really, really knows me has passed on, which is my mother. So everybody has a tidbit of who I am, but I would rob them of that, knowing that, okay, they're kids. They're not going to realize most of what is going on until they hit a certain age. So...
And they've created their own story up to that point, you know?
Yeah, and we do. I know, speaking for myself, I created a monster out of my mom. I used to wish I had my dad. I wish she was in his place. And my mother, I had to apologize, and I still do, even in spirit, because I'm just like, there are moments where I said those things that you see on TV, thinking it's cute, and my mother didn't even react. She didn't say nothing. It was kind of like she internalized it and kept it pushing. Like, little girl, if I could tell you, like everything.
Not to cut you off, but because I experienced the exact same thing. I said some of the most literal hateful. I've said I hate you to my mom. You know, I've said some of the most hurtful things to my mother, and she did not react to any of it. Why do you think that is? Like, if my child
it's
were
the pain.
Like Angel said the other day, like I said earlier on the live, she was like, I don't like you. Like, I like you most of the time, but there's sometimes I don't like you. I was like, well, we got to deal with that. We got to work on that. You know what I'm saying? And I understand I'm in a different headspace than my mother was. But what headspace was she in where I could say I hate you and she doesn't even react?
Because she hated herself. How do you think? Like, my mother didn't do what your mother did, but one thing she did do was not fight back. And to have 4 girls and a son, and my brother was the oldest, and my brother is 20 years older than me. So he was out of the house by the time I was born, and it was because he got to a certain age, he tried to intervene in a fight between my father, my mother, and my sisters, because he was going to discipline my sisters. And my father was he had mental illness. He was schizophrenic. And back then, instead of psychiatric help, you got sent to prison. So he was boxing in prison. And so this is the type of person who, in the street and in the prison, when you saw my dad coming, nobody bothered him. Nobody messed with him. So you got my poor little old mom and my sisters, and everybody trying to keep him off my mom, and she's trying to keep him off my sisters. And then my brother he's scrawny, he's a teen. He couldn't, but he tried. He failed, and he ran to North Carolina to be with my aunt. My mother took him down there to basically save his life from my dad. So we had all that trauma. So to be who I am, me and my sisters built up such a resistance and such a calculated, if a man does A, B, C, we tearing it down. We blowing up. It's like no holds barred. But looking at my mother, looking at the trauma, knowing that she wouldn't fight him back, how do you think that made her feel as a person? Knowing that your mother was doing what she was doing, how do you think every time she couldn't resist, every time she couldn't say no, every time she would go looking for, she couldn't fight the urge? Like, that's a tough place to be in. That's a tough place to be in.
So do you have self-hate if you don't know it's self-hate? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you can hate yourself if you don't know.
So the question roots in I thought that the negative self-speak and the hating myself and not feeling worthy, I thought that was normal. I didn't know that people actually love themselves until I moved into a space of self-love. You know what I'm saying? I thought
Yeah.
everybody talked to themselves that way. I thought everybody felt this way about themselves. Because remember, I'm out here raising myself. You know, no one
Yeah.
is redirecting me and telling me that there's another way to think about your Michael, that there's another way to think about yourself. So I'm
Well,
just
I had to
thinking,
learn it.
yeah, but
I was the same way.
did my mom ever learn it? So was yes, she hated herself. Did she know that she hated herself? Do you understand that, what I'm saying? I didn't know I
I had a
hated myself until I knew
conversation.
that I hated myself.
I don't know, because with my trauma happening so early and me hiding who I was, and it's funny because when I hear people like talk about us being X-Men, I've said that all my life. I used to always, and when you brought it up, I was so drawn to the cartoon because it's just like you're hiding who you are in plain sight. You have all these superpowers. You have all this secret, this big thing that you are suppressing so that you blend in with the public. So yeah, you can hate yourself. I remember I was a small child when we had a bathroom in the basement. And nobody hardly used it because my mom was in the house from the 70s on. So when everybody was younger, they would party in the basement. But by the time I came, it was the 80s. Everybody was older. Everybody went their own way. So it was little old me left in the house. So the basement was my area. So that was my hiding space, honestly, to go and cry. So I went to kindergarten, and you see I have big eyes. So one of my playmates who played with me all the time in the neighborhood, because the whole popular thing, jumped ship, turned on me, and suddenly just started ranking on my eyes. And so I went home and I said, my eyes are pretty, when I was on the bus with him. He said, yeah, pretty big. And I remember it to this day because it triggered me. And it was just like he shut me up and I had no comeback. And I had to go home, and we had a well, it's still there. We have a mirror in the basement, in the bathroom. I sat backwards on the toilet and I just stared at myself. And I wasn't going to cry. And I said, you know what? You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're pretty. I'm in kindergarten. So
Yeah.
it's like my mother wasn't coming up to us telling us we were beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about tough love. The only love that we ever talked about was Jesus loves you. Like, it was difficult growing up with my mother. So I started telling her I love you at the age of 19. Forcibly. Every time I saw her, I made her uncomfortable on purpose. Because I'm going to hear you say you love me back.
Yeah.
Until I'm tired of it. Even if I'm tired of it, I'm going to keep saying I love you. Mm-hmm. Even if I don't get a response out of you. I don't want you to leave here not knowing that I love you. And I'm going to crack that little wall you got. And I eventually did. And she was so uncomfortable when she said it back the first time. But getting back to your question, can you hate yourself without knowing that you hate yourself? I think that you can have what's the word? Irresponsible behaviors. And in this day and age especially, it's seen as that the whole 304 conversation, that it's like, it's so many layers to it. But for a person to go through that phase, because I've been there, I ain't a goody goody. I started out when I rebelled on purpose just to prove that I wasn't anything like my mom, which sent me down a whole damn road. So I'm back though. I'm getting back.
Hey.
But I realized how much I was hating myself the last time I got up on a stage and danced. And I saw, and this was 25. Yeah, I think it was about 25. 26. It was about 26. It was somewhere around there. But I had worked a job prior, and I saw a couple of the guys from the job that I worked at prior in the audience, and it was just like, yo, like, is this me?
Get back. I'm sorry.
And then, no, you're fine, honey. You're being a mom. Then when I realized, yo, it's not something I can do in the light. I gotta do it in the dark. So am I really loving myself if I gotta hide this part of me? Is this really me if I gotta hide this? I can't do it from a mom. If my brother walked in, I'd probably scream and cry and pretend someone put me on this on this stuff. Yeah. But I don't know, because I'm veering all. She wants her milk. I'm veering all everywhere. But yes, I do think that you can hate yourself even if you don't think you're hating yourself. And I'll talk. So if you ever want to just shut me up, tell me.
I'm just thinking about people. First of all, I realized I hated myself, and I documented in my book what's the best I did. Available
I'm gonna get that book too.
art.com. Get the book, girl, so you can join us
for
the book club in September.
Gotcha.
But this man stood me in front of a mirror and he said, "Look at yourself." Hey, Ion. He said, "Look at yourself." And can you shut my door, please? And he didn't. I couldn't look myself in the eye. When I finally looked at myself in the eye, I just started crying because I just realized how much I didn't like myself. And it was, it's always been men for me. And society has tried to make me feel bad because men have been very influential in my life. But, this whole healing journey was sparked by a man who told me, you need to stop thinking that way about yourself. You need to stop speaking that way about yourself. And so it started the internal work. So in 2013, and that's why I documented the process in this book. I began the work. I woke up to the fact that I hated myself. I woke up to the fact that saying these negative things about yourself isn't commonplace. I didn't grow up, hearing I love you. I didn't grow up hearing you're beautiful. I didn't grow up hearing any of those things. The only things that I ever heard were from the outside world, making fun of my teeth, making fun of my forehead, making fun of my skin complexion, making fun of everything that would made me different and special and unique was a problem. So then I began to hate those things about myself. And so
I've been there.
I wonder, how many people out here, to your point, with the, doing behaviors that you have to do in the dark or doing self-destructive behaviors, how many people are out here who truly don't love themselves and don't even know? Because there's no age on it, it's an awareness. And who's to say when you're going to hit that space?
I think it's always an evolution. Like I made a post and I put it on Only Me. I kind of wish I didn't because I know I'm not the only person going through that process. But something that I'm dealing with now triggered the question, what is love? What is love? Like, and get up, baby. Get up, girl. I'm sorry, she's doing stuff. Big yaya. Get up. You upside down. No, huh? You know what you're doing. I'm sorry. But, is it a thing? Is it a tool? Were some of the things that I said, and I was just through thinking. I know what we want to say what love is, and we want to attach it to feelings and a smile, and it's all lovey-dovey emotions, but love is truth. If you can't tell yourself the truth, do you really love yourself? Like, whether you're doing good or you're doing bad, are you sugarcoating it, or are you being really honest with yourself? Mm-hmm. And I think we got to step out of the labels that society gives us, and really just get down to the core of ourselves. Are you happy with yourself when you look in the mirror? Are you happy with yourself when you wake up in the morning? By the time you go to bed, are you happy with yourself? Are you okay with yourself? Are you at peace? Honestly, I'd rather have peace than love. That way, I ain't going crazy. Yeah. So, and not to take away from love, but love is fleeting. Happiness is fleeting. Those are temporary emotions. I think honestly, the journey I've been on is I want to be at peace with who I am and what I am. Out of all the things that I've done, out of all the things, the good and the bad, all the accomplishments that I've achieved, which don't look pretty to everybody else, but they big to me. because I tend to do a lot that gets overlooked. And being an artist, and where I come from, we're late getting into acknowledging Black artists. Like, we have the famous Ed Loper, who comes from here, who passed away years ago, but he's a well-known folk artist, what they call our master artists, Black artists, who painted areas that were landscape and now are covered in buildings. Like, he was around that far back. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of people who are now coming up. I've been doing this since I was a kid. A lot of people know who I am. Well, they say my name now. So I've had to deal with that as well. So you just got to get down to the core of what you want. What do you want from yourself?
Yeah. I'm with you as far as the peace, because if you seek peace, you'll fall into love. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because love is subjective. There are people who, I'm sure your father probably loved your mother. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So I think the peace is involved, and it's peace as the recipient, and it's peace as the doer.
The giver, yeah.
The person who's doing may be at peace, but are you at peace with the receiving of this? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I had to revisit that with my husband, where I was just like, because I did. I asked the exact same question. I was like, what is love? And I was just like, well, 1 Corinthians 13 or whatever.
The 7 fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah, love is patient, love is kind. So I went in that direction. I was just like, well, look, love is patient. Am I being patient? In every area, if I want to project or give love, am I being patient? Am I being kind? Am I being all these different things? And so just like you said, if you move in peace, if your objective is peace, you are automatically moving in love. But also, boom, somebody may be at peace. Because there's people, is it truly peaceful? I'm just questioning, because there's people who are peaceful with being an asshole. They sleep very well at night. So even peace is subjective.
Girl, sarcasm was my second language.
Yes, my husband's laying next to me, just not presently, but he's laying next to me. Can't use his voice, can't have a position, can't have no say so, nothing. And I'm just peaceful. I'm snug as a bug, like, so,
We used to be in that. And I try and encourage you with that, because I have a very handsome husband myself. Mm-hmm. So I know what comes with that. I used to work in a barbershop, so I know what comes with that. So it's good that y'all have love. It's good that y'all have friendship and communication. Keep that, please.
Yeah.
But cause I see y'all love each other. And he should be. He should be. That's in the area that I'm working on with my husband. But my husband was not a talker. He's very strong, very handsome. The girls used to flock to him. He never had to ask anybody for nothing. They came to him. Yeah. So when it came to meeting me, it was just like, oh, I gotta step up some. Oh, she not handing me? No, I'm not. But I got so used to, you see, I'm a talker. He's quiet. I grew up a quiet person, so when I hit a certain age, it was like, I'm not gonna be quiet for nobody no more.
Amen.
So he had to deal with that. And at first he couldn't find his words. And this was before he got into music. When he found music, yes, he started to communicate through music, which was beautiful. Like his compositions are insane, like painting or carving. But I tell you, I used to beat him down with words. One of my superpowers used to be like, I'm quiet, but if you push me, I'm gonna break you, which is very abusive.
Bridge in the desert.
Yes, it's very abusive, and I had to realize just how abusive that is, and how there's power in the tongue. And my mother used to always tell us that there's power in the tongue. You can speak life, you can speak death, and like, it's true. You can break a person with a few words, and it never be the same again.
Yeah.
So it's good to give him that peace. It's good to fall back from using a weapon that you know you got in your arsenal.
Yeah. I called years ago. It's been maybe 5 years, 4 years at least. I called my husband an idiot, and to this day, he holds on to that.
I used to hear my sister talk to my ex-brother-in-law that way.
Yeah.
And there were things that we didn't know about that was behind that. The battles that they would partake in verbally, behind closed doors, the hurts because they were interracial. He wanted to marry my sister because she was beautiful, she was talented, she was smart, but he wanted her as a trophy. He didn't want to have children. She did. But he didn't tell her until about 7 years into the marriage. So it was hurtful. So with us, we didn't know that until now. We know that. But then it's just like, why you keep calling him such and such? Oh, wait. And he used to come in the house, oh, Miss Tyler, your daughter's being mean to me. And we used to laugh, not realizing she's hurting. She's not telling us the gravity, but he's trying to play on us manipulatively, getting us on his side, and we're her blood. We should be asking, what's the core? What's the problem? So,
but also having the space to share it, because even if you ask, would you share?
Back then, no, because of the age gap between me and her, but we are the closest now. So she does nothing but share. I didn't know of a lot of things that were positive in my family until speaking to my sister, because everybody else held on to the hurt. She's the middle child, so you know she gonna tell everything. So she was old enough to know the good and the bad. And just getting back to what you were saying, what were you saying? Because I didn't veer it off. Calling names.
Yeah.
Calling names. Like I've said before, me and my husband, we were separated for 5 years. We're in our second year of being back, working on things, battling out for those about 4 out of 5 years. Look, we found a friend, huh?
Yeah.
That's you. You see yourself. But yeah, battling out for a long time. We used to go no holds bar and say everything we could think of because we were both hurting, and we wanted to feel. The closest person to you is the person you hurt the most. We wanted each other to feel how hurt we were by what was going on. So instead of waving the white flag, go ahead, girl.
What did you have on your face?
I'm listening.
I'm fine. I'm just looking at her dimples. I get caught up in this little thing.
I know, she's a cute.
Thank you. I'm gonna move you because we on live. I'm gonna move the camera. But we used to call each other everything. We used to say some hurtful things, and we both have archives of what we've said. And I tell you, what I hear the most is, you said so much. Not even what I did is what I hear about a lot. I've heard about that enough, but I hear about my words I chose more. And the conditional love I was giving versus just being unconditional, and allowing him time to grow and room to make mistakes and not be perfect.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
12 years.
Okay.
Just had our 12th anniversary, May 20th.
Okay.
Still, we have our stuff with that. Even now, we're at that point where, and it's something that is not discussed in our community, because we've had infidelity issues. I'm not perfect. After 5 years, it was just like, F it, I'm going to give you the same treatment that you were giving me, which I wish I didn't. But now we applaud that. But I gave up my power that I gained before him. Because when I tell you my history, my past, and my whole semicolon happened because of heartbreak. And because I was not living authentically, My body count was going up, and I started forgetting names. And when I got to the point where it was like, you know what, they know about me more than I know about them, so they're whispering about me in rooms that I'm not even in, but not in a positive way. So it was some hurts that I dealt with and healing that I dealt with before we met. So I felt good in myself in not doing the old things that I used to resort to and the old tactics I used to resort to hurt people. So in giving that up, she's gonna get on camera. And so to do that, I hurt myself too.
Yeah.
Because that affected my healing journey. When I could have just walked away. And that took emotional intelligence to realize, instead of saying, you know what, you deserve this because you did it to me. It took a long time for me to stop saying that. And realize, you know what, I love myself too much to even do that crap anymore. So if we were to not make it, even at this point, I really don't see another person if we were to not make it. Because at this point, I value myself so much and my peace so much that I don't do that tit for tat no more. Like, if that's the low that you want to go, that's the low you want to go. I don't want to go there. I've been there. That's old to me.
And that it's almost is breaking our own spirit by
it does.
You know, they go low, so we feel justified it going low now. You know what I'm saying? Since you did it, I can do it. But in that respect,
it ain't the same.
Own vibration. Why am I gonna drop my vibration after you drop yours? I'm good.
Yes, and it should have been that way. But it wasn't.
Live and we learn.
Absolutely.
We don't know that. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, culturally, just the negative stuff that's socially accepted. Our spouse on us. So the response is to stay and suffer, be silent about it, give them a hard time about it, or match energy. You know, it's never release yourself from that space and choose peace. It's always choosing something that's going to make you feel worse about yourself. Rarely is the option ever evolution and self-loving. You know what I'm saying?
Because it takes work. Instant gratification always feels so good, but it robs you in the end, because anything that's gained easily usually is snatched away quickly. And then what you got left after that? Because that little bit of few minutes, was it really? Was it really that? Yeah, it wasn't that beneficial.
Especially when you look at the grand scheme of things. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you look at the fallout of it.
Absolutely. But I would say that a lot of self-hate, a lot of trauma is overlooked because of instant gratification. And like when you talk about the mask, I don't think in our community we're transparent enough, because we tend to bully each other when we're transparent. We hop on each other, we ride one word someone says and we drag it into the ground until there's nothing left. And like you see it, this is like a microscopic view of what happens in our society on these panels. So I honestly wish we could be. I'm glad. I ain't gonna say I wish. At this point now, I do see the transition of people wanting to be more transparent, and these conversations had about these topics are needed.
Yeah.
But I was saying that although we've been married 12 years, I was saying something that doesn't get discussed is where I am at now. And I can say this because I'm in my truth. And this is my reality. We went poly, tried that. My mother passed, and right before she passed, I ended things and wanted it to end. It continued, even though I didn't know. We ended up separating. That relationship continued, whether I knew or not. And by the time I knew, I'm not stupid. I know people fall in love. And now I'm at that point because I value you, my husband, as a person. And I know, we gonna read, and I know what it feels like to have love, authentic love, where a person loves you just for you. You could fart and sneeze and they just look at you like, oh my God, like I still love you. Like, I love you enough to let you go be happy. So if this person loves you in the way that you want, I'd rather us go down there hand in hand and sign them papers and just be like, you know what? We do good as parents.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at this point. That's why I was questioning, like, what is love? Because I would never want to keep someone in a marriage and force them to deceive me.
Yeah.
Because I'm only deceiving myself, especially when I know you would rather be elsewhere.
Yeah.
So if I don't make you happy, and I'm on my journey to be happy, me holding you is not going to make me happy if you're not happy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's what I came to when I came to the conclusion that I was emotionally cheating on my husband. I know some of the ladies were like, that's not emotionally cheating. I was like, I think I am, because if this was a man that I was having this intimate connection with, I would be cheating. You know what I'm saying? So just because it's a woman that I'm having this intimate connection with, that doesn't make it right. And so I'm thankful that I was able to go to my husband and say, hey, this is what's happening. Because far too often we can't go to our spouses and admit that this is happening, because if we can admit that this is happening, now my husband can either choose to step up and fill that void, or he can choose to continue to ignore it. And now I have a choice to make. You know what I'm saying? So it's that open, honest communication and being able to speak your truth without, the backlash of somebody, making you feel a kind of way, when I'm trying to give you an opportunity to save what we have. I'm coming to you so I don't have to deceive you. I don't want this.
It's respect.
Yeah. I don't want this outside relationship. I value the outside relationship, of course, but I don't want this outside relationship because I don't have it with you. Now, you and I can have a meeting of minds, Pat, but I'm also having a meeting of minds with my husband. You know what I'm saying? You and I can go out to dinner, but I'm also going out to dinner with my husband. You and I can laugh, but I'm also laughing with my husband. It's when I'm not finding it here, and now I have to go out here to get it, that it becomes problematic to me. And I should be able to go to my spouse and say, yo, I'm trying to seek this outside of you. Is this something that you're okay with? Because I'm not. I want to be able to listen to you. And you can't be so lost within yourself or selfish. If you're selfishness, if your spouse is coming to you and it's not something, I'm not asking you for anything you're not capable of. You are capable of holding a conversation if you try. You are capable of telling a joke if you try. You are capable of, acting like you're interested in the things that I'm interested in if you try. How much effort am I worth?
That is a huge part. When what you're running towards outside becomes a stronger pull than what you have with me, it's time to talk.
Yeah.
Because that whole term that I'm not in the business of keeping anybody that doesn't want to be kept is huge. That's for intimate relationships, friendships, clientele, business, acquaintances, strangers. If you don't want to have a few words after hi, then it's bye. So that's where I think comprehension, you got the transparency, you have the communication, the comprehension, but the patience for someone to answer, the patience for someone to process. If you need a few days, if you need a few weeks, if you need to write it down or you can only text it to me, can you verbalize it? Do you feel safe enough in the space with me to talk to me? Unfortunately, on our part, I hurt that for me and my husband because I had a tendency to throw up in his face. About 2 years into our relationship, I started just I have a way of connecting dots. So I would connect those dots verbally and tell him, oh, so this is why this happened because you were doing that. Oh, so yeah, so the phone call that happened then, oh, that's why that text came through. And then I'm just like, yes, but then you told me, like, going through all that, it breaks somebody's spirit, it takes someone's trust. So then you can't have those conversations. Come here, baby. Then you can't have those conversations if a person doesn't trust you. Yeah. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Pick it up then. You can pick it up. You can. You gonna pick it up? You want what? You want your hair done? I have to take your hair out. Can I take it out? You gonna put rubber bands on what?
So my final question, because
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. We've hit our 2-hour mark, but I wanted to ask you this before I let you go. How do you move from conditional love to unconditional? What does that process look like for you?
For myself, moving from conditional to unconditional, accepting instead of expecting. That what you have is what you have. And if this person was gone tomorrow, would you miss them? And in my case, yes, I would miss my husband. Especially dealing with my father's passing. I know what it feels like to not have someone who you really, really wish you could have here. So we've had a couple close calls in our marriage. And even last night when he got pulled over, he calls me. And it's just like, who right next to you? You ain't got enough, you gotta call me. So it's like, it's not like I'm not going to answer. It's not like I'm not going to be there on the phone with you when I know that you're in a space that is hard to be in for a black man with a cop. I'm not going to hang up the phone. So, what emotions do I need, what ego do I need stroked that means more than you? So when you realize that a person is at the end of the day, we have 4 children together, 12 children in all. 6 children living in the household. 2 children I did not push out, that I am over, that I treat like my own kids. I get on their nerves. They teenagers. He started young.
You push out 10 children.
If I could rewind time, I always tell him I would have had all 12 for him. I love him that much. But no, I pushed out 4.
Okay. I'm like, is your uterus over here and you just gotta put it in?
It felt like that after these last 2.
Man, by Caden, I can't talk anymore. I promise you.
I don't think I should. Yeah. I'm good. Yeah. The body's different when you get older.
Heck yeah.
Carrying the baby at 40, that hit different. I mean, at 39, that hit different.
It hit different.
So, yeah, and that was right before 40. So I'm like, my sister didn't have her kids until 41 and 43. Poor child.
Yeah.
Because I ain't doing it.
Man.
But yeah, moving from conditional love to unconditional love is a self thing because I'm being conditional with myself as well. So the way I love another person is the way I love myself at first. So that's the only way we can love is how we love ourselves. We set the tone for what love is by how we love ourselves. So if I'm choosing not to love myself because of whatever reason, then I'm conditionally loving myself. Instead of just taking myself as I am and just being like, you know what? F it, girl, I love you. So that way I can spill that can overflow to everyone in my life. And when I realized that being drill sergeant, running around here angry all the time, yelling and fussing and y'all not doing this right and this needs to be done and that old school way, stuff don't work now. And now kids looking at you like, girl, I got too much psychology under my belt for you to be talking to me like that.
At all.
So,
like, that's not
yeah, like, can we count to 10?
Yeah.
Now, can you use your words? Like,
yeah.
But, you realize, for myself, God can only speak for myself. I realize how much harm I've done by me trying to teach my husband how to love me. Like, I get when people say, yes, you teach a person how to love you, but when do you just allow a person, excuse me, the grace to have an experience with them? Because if we can give that to a stranger, why can't we give that to a person who we want in our lives forever? So, honestly, I know what conditional love feels like from another person towards me. When I felt unconditional love, I messed it up in the end, but being young and dumb. But to look back, it was a marker for like, girl, that's what it looks like. Friendship, authentic friendship. So I tell my kids, I tell whatever young person's in my chair that's of age to hear, because I don't just give these conversations out to little kids.
Yeah.
But when I sniff out that you of that age to where you thinking you're gonna get a boyfriend or girlfriend, especially my young men, I always tell them my sons will be men one day, and I would not want my sons to be in someone's presence who could gift them this information, and they just choose to withhold it, and then they gotta bump their heads to figure it out. But you have to, you gotta love yourself more, because a person's gonna love you less, period. No one's gonna love you like you do. Love yourself. A person's always gonna love you less than. So if your bar is so low and it's conditional, they're gonna love you at those conditions. They're not gonna accept all of you. And if we're growing, morphing, changing, and as women we go through stages and changes often, if it's conditional, which I've experienced, there's gonna be things that you don't love about me, that when you don't love me, you're gonna go to somebody else because you love them, that thing better about them than you do me. I don't want that. So I'm still growing. I'm still evolving. I am still within the thought process. So
You just stepped
that's
in
my
a
answer
whole,
for now.
you just stepped in a whole nother pile of crap, and I was just like, no, I ain't gonna suck into it. We're gonna leave it at unconditional love, because I'm just like, okay, now what is self love to you? What does that look like? I believe that I love myself, but even in that, I'm understanding that I can love myself more, and it's constantly
Yeah.
changing what love of self looks like. My love of self, when I wrote this book, is completely been my love of self that is today versus my love of self tomorrow. When something else transpires, I'm like, yo, that's possible. Me too, So
Yeah.
it's
I
ever
think
evolving.
it is. With self love, like my mother told me, as long as you have life to live, breath in your lungs and blood flowing through your veins, you have room to learn and grow. And there's an awareness that some people come into at a young age, middle age, and then some people don't get it until they're on their deathbed or they never do. So if you've been gifted the opportunity to look at yourself and you come into that awakening of yourself, and you're at that shift and that fork in the road where you want to make some changes, even if you don't know how to, at least that awakening of, I could do better, I could be better, I don't want to do what I did yesterday. That's room for growth. It's room for more love. And I don't think in our society and in our people we've been given those tools at a young age to know what that even looks like. Because the whole group mentality, I'm gonna dumb myself down so I can fit in here. You're not loving yourself if you can't show up as yourself. And for me myself, and I know you put an end on, you put a time on me, but for me myself, I used to always ask, what is wrong with me that I'm a catalyst for change?
Mm-hmm.
I can sit quietly in a room. Something about me going to shift something in the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden, finger pointing at Pat. Pat ain't do nothing. Like, I just showed up. Like, so I used to always ask myself, like, what's wrong with me that I can't have these long relationships, these long friendships, and have like 10, 20, 50 people like, hey, Pat here. Like, it's always a shift. But then you got those little faithful few who I know their lives wouldn't be the same if they didn't have me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it's tough to be in a position to where you do see behind the veil. You do see behind the mask. You can read between the lines. You can hear what's not being said. You can read expressions, body language. It's difficult because you can't hide it. My face doesn't hide how I feel.
Yeah.
My eyes being big, they're big for a reason. They don't hide a damn thing. So, so self-love has been an ongoing evolution because I've had to hide and mask and dumb down and suppress. So now at this point, I want to come out of my little shell I've had myself in, because at one point I remember when I didn't hide myself. But I think my self-love would be me just finally just being me. You giving kisses, she blowing kisses.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And what I've noticed from talking to you and to talking to other women in the headspace I'm in today, it's like y'all talk about how rough your childhoods were, but then you speak about the wisdom that was fed into you. And to me, that is just such an oxymoron, because for me, my childhood was rough and nobody fed into me. So it's crazy to hear. And I think that's what's being replicated in our households today. And it's probably what was happening in my household where, you know, my kids were suffering through their childhood, whatever suffering is, because that's, that's subjective too. But my kids were
Yeah,
suffering through their childhood, but I bet you they could speak so highly of their mother because their biggest tormentor was also their biggest teacher. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And so it's just crazy talking to you and talking to this other young lady. I'm hearing, the life that was fed into you, and the wisdom and the advice. And I'm just like, well, damn, this
It
doesn't sound
wasn't.
like a person that would do this. This doesn't sound like this type of person. So
Yeah, it
it's
wasn't though. I had to glean. When I
yeah.
tell you I had to glean,
At least it was there to glean.
it's that artist eye.
Mm,
If you're an artist where you can envision something, you feel it before it's even brought into light. It's that perfect piece that's within you, but you don't know it's there until you finished. It's
mm,
like in hindsight, what I did, because losing my mom, that was serious for me, because we had finally got to a place where we were able to talk, enjoy each other's company, and I was running to go be beside her, just to sit next to her, have my arm to her arm, just to be up under her, and to lose her sent me on a journey where it was just like, you know what, I began to realize in her final days that she really did love me, and how much it was. It may not have been dressed up in a way that it wasn't Cosby. It wasn't what I wanted it to be, but it was love, and it sent me on a journey. I started when just to because I'm not trying to take over your life, but when the day I lost my mother, I had to just leave the hospital because I walked them in on them resuscitating her, and to see that, because CPR is not a pretty thing. Um,
yeah.
I walked out. I did. I hugged her. I helped take her jewelry off, but it was just like once everybody got in the room and the subject, when the conversation shifts in the room and it's like, oh, so what we eating for dinner tonight type deal, like our mom is laying here and y'all talking about. I just walked out, and all I did was cry and walk from the hospital. And we have our Brandywine River. On one side is flat ground, on the other side it's just a steep rock wall. And walking this path, I had passersby that were just looking at me, and you could see that they saw my hurt and pain, but I couldn't. You know, you inside yourself, you can't see it. And I had. You trying to copy? You doing good copying, girl. Really, I don't think Miss Lonnie want to lick her arm. Look, she licked her arm for you. Oh my god.
Awesome.
But I saw a white butterfly just fly by, and in that moment, I could tell my mother's spirit. It made me look to nature. We had a moment, me and my mother. Well, not me and her had the moment. Well, we did have a moment, but I had a dream. And these are things that I want to talk more about on my channel and bring to this, because I do feel like my story needs to be heard, because it's helped myself, it's helped others, and it's just something I just want to get off my chest. But back in, I think it was like 08, 09, I started seeing numbers. I don't know if you know about angel numbers, repetitive numbers, spirit numbers, that type deal.
I don't know, but I know about.
You know about it. So, excuse me. I've always been one to just wonder about the universe. And I saw signs. I've been a dreamer all my life, so I received message in dreams. And that particular time I received a dream, which I took to my mother, because it plays out like a movie now. I see it now. And it helped save my life and change my life. Let me give me raspberries. Go on, girl. It helped change my life and save my life. But I've always been quiet, a listener. A child is to be seen, not heard. So what else do I have to do but to listen and hear tidbits and glean from you what I can use and leave on the table what it's not pertaining to me or what can help elevate me. I carry that through life, and now at this point, I think me bumping my head so much has gained me wisdom. Me, a hard head leads to a soft behind. Like, I had to be softened, and you bump your head enough times to you learn from some mistakes, and you apply some knowledge. And now I'm more of an applying stage than just hearing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. Not when we say try, but I'm applying. We are.
And I love your willingness to share and your transparency. And like I said, you're helping me heal. And I'm happy I was able to get you with some audio today.
I know that's right. But I can say, honestly, Lonnie, I know you asked a lot of questions of what you need. What can you do better? I think you showing up. What attracted me to you is your consistency. I like how you have your letterhead and everything. I don't know if that's what you call it. But you do your thing. And it's like, I watched my mom, and that's why I made that video. I watched my mom go to an empty church many days. And she would prepare dinner. And it's like, who you cooking for? Somebody gonna come and eat. Why are you going down to the church by yourself? Somebody gonna come around and need some prayer. Like, you never know when you're entertaining an angel is what my mother had us live by. And you never know when you're being an angel to someone else.
Yeah.
Because even in how you do your thought process, my mind be going a mile a minute too. So it's cool to see your strength in being transparent. Because not everybody's able to be vulnerable and say, yo, I want to be better. And broadcast that to the world. And you don't have to have a broken marriage and a boohoo story to do what you're doing. Yeah, to want to be better and do better and bring people along with you. So since now you can hear me say it, and I ain't texting a million text messages, I'm giving you your flowers.
Thank you.
You keep on going, keep doing your thing. And I started with just my chair. watching other people have people nonstop, and I'm sitting there just twiddling my thumbs like somebody gonna come. I got my shit. I'm sorry. I got my stuff prepared. I'm ready to do some hair, and then people draw to you when you are walking your path, and you are asking for every step to be guided. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I truly believe that's what you're doing. Otherwise, you would not put so much into what you do. Like, you have your notes. You're actually doing self-reflection. You can tell that you're doing your self-reflective work. Like, so I just wanna give you your flowers. I wanna encourage you. Keep
I
going.
appreciate it because I don't know. I don't know. You know, I'm not in the space where I was when I recorded that video, you know, and I never want to come across that I don't value and appreciate what I have because that's not what it is. You know, if it's coming from a longing and a desire, it's just like, okay, I know that I'm here for this. I know this is what I'm here for. But if I'm here to do this, why isn't it spreading like wildfire now that the opportunity has presented itself to spread the message that I know that I'm here to deliver? You know what I'm saying? And so that's where
Honestly,
the frustration came from. It was just like,
yeah.
okay, I'm doing the work. And then, like I keep saying, my physical world will clash with my spiritual world. And it's just like, okay, God, something's got to give. If you want me to do this work, how come this work isn't sustaining me? You know what I'm saying? And what I receive from that
It will though.
you will be sustained. Just do the work.
Yeah, yeah, and that's honestly all it is. If you show up, excuse me. If you show up and you keep showing up and you
Yeah.
continue to be consistent and not based on anybody else's definition of what your consistency should be, but just what is laid on your spirit to do in that day. Even if it's to come on 15 minutes and say, hey, y'all, I just wanted to say hi to y'all, and then I gotta go. Like, that's enough. Like, it, it will grow, it will come, and you're transitioning. So you're coming from an old walk into a new walk. So on here, you know that negativity flourishes.
Yeah.
People love trauma. Like, the fact that you love your husband loves you, you know that's going to deter a lot of people because they want to see a mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that you are a mom who has acknowledged, yeah, I can do better with my kids, is going to deter some people because people want to feel like they're doing better than somebody else. So a lot of what you're promoting is a mirror. A lot of people ain't ready to look in the mirror, sis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
keep on holding the mirror up, whether folks like it or not, and that's all. So
All
I
right.
thank you for having me,
Yes,
allowing
I
me to come
thank
up.
you as well. I really
No problem.
appreciate the opportunity to actually talk about you. Not talk about you, talk with you. No, not talk about you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you because you are one of the members of the community that I respect. And so to
I
actually
appreciate
pick
that.
your brain, I'm just like, you're like, I don't want to take up your life. I'm like, girl, take it up. I'm soaking up all the game. You know what I'm saying?
Girl, I would keep talking. I'm fine, but I know we both have our families. Then I
Yeah.
get to understand the limit.
Yeah.
But it's needed. My husband looks over like, what you doing? Sometimes I'm just like, I'm on. He sees you. Like, again? Yeah, again. Like, mind your business. Play your game. But it's something I look forward to.
When people
And
tell
like I
me,
said,
when people tell me their spouses be ear hustling, I'm like, I know they sitting over like this crazy woman on the internet.
my husband has begged me, go out. Where your friend? Like, and I'm just like, but I ain't got no friends no more. Like, the few people who I feel are my closest friends, they're in other states.
Yeah.
I'm not dropping my kids to go run the street. Like, ain't like that no more. But it's also, like I said, you transitioning. I'm transitioning myself. Unlearning certain things and relearning certain things, and then adding on to what I need to learn about myself.
Yeah.
And my sister once told me, my sister that's like oil and water, she's on here. She has a TikTok. But she told me if you become a better friend, you'll have better friends. I hated it when she said it, and that was when I wasn't ready yet. Yes. Yes. When you become a better person, you will attract better people.
Yeah.
And the fact that what you talk about resonates, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not doing that bad. Like, I'm not the only one. So I appreciate you.
All right, sis. Well, I will be back on Wednesday. You know,
Take that break, girl.
I am. You know, every day was. I think if the audience was growing, I wouldn't mind it. But with the audience being stagnant, it's just like, okay, who are you doing this for?
Yeah.
You know.
You have a family, and that's something that I hold so much value in. That comes first.
Yeah.
You and your relationship comes first.
Yeah.
You being a mother, that comes first. It's about 1.5, but it's up there. So if you're gaining this world, but you're losing your world, is it really worth it? I don't think so. Because if they ever dismantle this and internet blows up in our face, in the apocalypse, who gonna be beside you?
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Those people you ignore.
So take care. Yeah, take care of your family. Take care of your husband. He takes care of you. Y'all take care of each other.
Yeah.
Continue to grow. Get your peace. Keep your peace.
That's the benediction right there.
Absolutely.
What is it? Lose your soul to gain the world.
Yeah. What is the profit of man?
Say that
to
again.
gain the whole world. What is the profit of man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul?
Yeah.
And it's really real.
Yeah.
And I don't even prescribe to labels and all that no more. I'm more spiritual than religious. Yeah. But it's a whole lot of truth.
It is.
That's a whole lot of truth.
The more I come into my understanding, I realize the Bible wasn't all, it's not how it was presented to us. But if we can remove the religion and just get the lesson, I quote the Bible a lot.
Girl, I have fallen on my face many times and had to crack that book open and be reminded of some things. Yes. So even though I may not be religious anymore, my fondest memories were being in the church. A lot of my morals, my standards were built on being in the church, being up under my mom. A lot of who I am and my strong presence, it comes from watching my mom in a pulpit in front of hundreds of people, like stuff like that. So, and it's a story for another time. I'm gonna let you go.
All right, well, I appreciate you, sis.
I try to hold you. I appreciate you too. Give me that, girl.
All right,
plus my child doing crazy stuff. All right, love. Have a blessed night.